Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're in our 24th year of bringing you great information about mortgages and real estate. And she's Becky Alley.
Good morning, everybody. Tigers are going to clinch it today. P.S.
I can't believe it. They moved up the game to 1 o'clock, 1:08 here. I'll get all the stats and what's going on. I know we got Mark Ryan and Pat Caputo following us. We're going to have Tiger baseball pregame and tons of sports all weekend long here on 97.1 The Ticket. But we got some great guests in here. Debbie Bourdon, how you doing, Deb?
Good. So happy to be here.
And the dynamic duo. This could be your daughter. I don't believe it, but Brittany Racine, of course. Yeah. Hey, Brittany, what's going on?
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
Excited.
You guys are also on this HGTV American Dream real estate show. So that's where I picked up on it. And I think we became Facebook friends. I'm like, wait a minute, they got something to say about real estate. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, hey, let's dive into that. We're going to take your calls live always for an hour here. 248-539-9797. One of the, as I was stalking a little on Facebook, I said you had that great listing up north. And with this unbelievable weather here, Michigan's turning into like 5 months of summer this year. Just like tell me a little bit about that up north property. How'd you get the listing? Because you guys are from southeast Michigan.
Right.
Yeah. How did you get that listing? And tell me a little bit about that house.
So we're kind of all over, but when I was marketing for the next episode for the American Dream, one of my friends owns a business up in Traverse City, and she was like, hey, I have an idea, and just hear me out, but if you're willing to feature my business in the next episode, you can sell my house that's on Grand Traverse Bay. And I was like, all right, it's kind of a fun project, but we can kind of hit it all at once. And it was a long day of filming, but we had so much fun, and her house is awesome. It's right on Grand Traverse Bay, and we hit her business, which was a fitness studio, but it's a really it's like a boutique fitness studio. It was so much fun, and it's a recovery lounge. So she has like a salt room, red therapy, tons of stuff just
cold
in the
plunge.
studio. Yeah, cold plunge. She did the cold plunge.
Did the cold plunge.
I was like, I will tap out on that, but you can do it. So she did it actually in
Deb, you definitely did the whole thing for 30 seconds or more.
I can't believe they made her do it for 30 seconds.
It was cold.
I thought you were just going to dip in so they could film it and then get out. And she's like, did the whole 30 seconds.
Trust me, I'm a hot water. Give me a hot tub. I am not into cold plunges.
With all the great weather we've had, and again, what a destination, of course, Michigan, up north, the whole thing. People are coming from Kentucky. They're coming from all over the United States now. Now we've got a lot more businesses because really back in the day, you'd go up north and it was really quiet. There'd be a couple small places to eat at, but now you've got the breweries. You've got this unbelievable spa that your friend has, and there's just a lot more opportunity out there. So
right, and the house is right in, but kind of on the winery tour on Old Mission. So it's a really, really cool house. They redid the entire thing. It's right on the water. Like you look out the windows, and it's almost like looking down on the way.
It's sold in like a day anyways. You guys listed it and the house was gone the next day.
It was pending.
And all the
next
vineyards
day.
over there are so nice. And well, that's why I love Michigan, is because you can literally drive a couple hours and feel like you're somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
Well, and the buyer's actually from Colorado. So it wasn't a local.
Wow.
So we talk about that often on the show where, Michigan, people come from the outside in because we do have a lot to offer. And it's almost like we're so spoiled that we're like, oh, it's cold, I don't want to do it and whatever, and I don't want to be here. But people love Michigan because it is beautiful and you can get all the things in Michigan. And obviously Colorado, like they have, like the snow and the hills, but they don't have the beautiful lakes that we have, the scenery that comes with that up north vibe. And I actually sometimes like going up north more in the winter than the summer because it is so peaceful and quiet, and it's a good time.
There's one thing that we have that Colorado doesn't have. Thanks for pointing it out. Definitely we have the lakes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's a beautiful state also.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state too, but it's like you can't, when you look around and you see water all the time, you're like, oh, we're just so used to it. But people appreciate that. And to get a beautiful property on, like by Grand Traverse Bay.
Yeah, like more their summer house. But also like the real estate in Colorado has gotten so expensive that people from other states are looking for vacation homes in Michigan.
Yeah. You can get a property in some lakes in Michigan for under $1 million, $500,000. And you can't get that anywhere else.
Right.
You cannot. We're very affordable, and we're like a kept secret that people are kind of catching on. So my next hat that I'm throwing in is going to be that lake house. It's coming soon.
You're definitely going to get it. 3,200 plus square miles of lakefront all across the Great Lakes here in Michigan, and lots of inland lakes too, golf course, and a lot of fun things. Now we've got the sports recipe all dialed in now with the Tigers happening today again, 1 o'clock today, do or die game. You got Lions tomorrow versus the Cowboys. You guys are also involved in sports and stuff. You're a young mom, so you're out there a little bit. And from the Brighton area, so you're selling homes all around Southeast Michigan, but primarily tell me a little bit about your area and what type of homes are out there and Tell me a little bit about the inventory. What's going on?
So I feel like we're primarily in Washington and Livingston County, but again, we're all over the state. Right now in Brighton, I feel like the values in Livingston County are just going up so quickly. So I feel like there's really no area every area is a safe area to invest. Brighton in general, I'm biased to Brighton because I live there, but I just love the area. There's a lot of new builds going in. I feel like it's a quick market. Everybody wants to be there. It's a good location. You're close to Ann Arbor, but you're also not too far out of Metro Detroit.
Well, downtown Brighton has so much going for it also.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
so much
the
fun.
Restaurants and everything.
And it's a walkable city too, right? Brighton's a huge city.
Because it's
but
coming, it's up and coming kind of, but it's like
very,
not. Yeah, it's like almost like South Lyon, how like we're like no one was in South Lyon and now everyone and their mom's in South Lyon, and they like, and so I feel like Brighton is that next. It's a beautiful place to raise families. Yes. It's like, and you can raise your families and it's safe and it's beautiful. And you got that little cute downtown area that they're redoing. And so, yeah, I mean, Brighton is, but it also depends on where you want to go, right? As your family and like, but people like you talk about it often, like the walkable downtown areas. You can't, when you have that sense of community, that really sometimes sells itself.
And we're close to a Legacy Sports Center too. So a lot of people, that's a big draw for all sports. Like it's massive. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, my stepdaughter, she played for Mojo, so we were in Brighton all the time.
Yep.
But now she's with a different team.
It's such an easy commute because it's easy to get into Southfield if you've got to go to Lansing or Ann Arbor.
Right off 23 and 96. So.
The middle of everything and not too far away from Metro Detroit Airport too, which is also a destination. So the housing there, though it's an older city, of course, Brighton's been around since the late 1800s, even before that. And there's trains that came through there in Grand River and all. So there are a lot of older homes there. So definitely that home inspection really does come into play when you're working with some first-time home buyers. Right. They have budgets and stuff. We need a sound property. What type of things are you running into? Or is it just a lot of updating because the homes are so old and that generation now is, either retiring, moving south, going into nursing homes, whatever their situation. What about the housing there? What do you find that's most prevalent?
I feel like there's a lot of new builds, but I think a lot of the older homes are doing a lot of more updating. But I mean, it depends. I feel like a lot of times buyers now are not necessarily looking for a project. Like there's a few that are like, okay, I'm down to, do the upgrades and do all the things. But there's a lot of people that really just want a turnkey new house.
Everybody wants a turnkey new house. Yep. I know when I was looking for a house, I wanted a turnkey new house, and then I ended up taking on a project.
Right.
But that's where you have to kind of switch that narrative because when it is that turnkey, you have multiple offers and you're going to be highly competitive. But if you can go with that little bit of tweaking and they're like, no, you paint the walls and just even something like that where you can help them visualize it, they can get a better deal and there's not so much, so it's not going to be as competitive.
Right. And I also think that there's room for an investment when you can put a little bit of money in, do a little bit of a change for that other people can't really envision. And then you have that margin of profit for your house that you're buying instead of buying something that's already completely maxed out.
Yes.
Well, we talk about that so much, Becky, too, with, again, hopefully refinancing boom will kick in. It has not kicked in yet. We're going to be talking about that as mortgage rates.
But the Fed dropped the rate. I thought the rates are down to 2 again.
We hope so, but it didn't happen that way. Again, we talked about it as the Fed funds rate did drop 0.5%. It always, well, not always, but it seems as if it does. That first drop, especially as rates had gone up 11 times, the Fed funds rates went up 11 times. We are looking for that break on interest rates. A lot of families there in the higher sixes, even up towards 8% last year. This time, I think the rates were 7.5%. So rates are still down now from where they were last year. But when's this opportunity coming, Becky? Because definitely rates have trickled up a little bit.
The opportunity is right now, today, always. It's, when we're saying, okay, now's a great time to buy, we're talking to the person that it is a great time to buy for that person or the person that needs to refinance because we talk about it. People overbought in 2020 and now their taxes are reassessed. They can't afford their life or their taxes on the property. And now you have high credit cards. And so you have that tangible equity in your home that you can turn around and reduce that rate overall and save the cash flow. So I've never stopped doing refinances because I know how to structure and use those assets, not as a piggy bank, but to put yourself in a better position. And if you are looking to buy, you're locking in the price of the home. The interest rate is arbitrary. You can always float down that rate. And when the opportunity comes in 6 months, 8 months, you refinance and then you lock in a rate. But now you have that price point of the house that's not $50,000 more when everyone is getting back in the market because the rates went down to 5s.
Right.
And that's what's really going to happen.
Fighting everybody else and values are going up.
This time is the best time, really, because there's not as many buyers out there For a lot of people, they're like, oh, we're going to wait and we're going to start looking in the spring. Well, you're going to be with everybody else that's looking in the spring. So right now, especially if there's a house that's been on the market 2 weeks, a month, maybe 2 months, then you're even going to get a better price. But if you wait until the spring, you're going to be competing with everybody
I
else.
feel like that's old news though in Michigan. Like I'm going to wait till spring, and people still have that mentality.
Yes.
But we also have been a 365 seat because the ones that are in alignment with professionals like yourselves, where you're like, no, let's go right now. Let's put our boots on. We're going to go in the snow. We're going to find this house. We're going to do the things. And then you're good, because now when everyone else is in the spring, they just save 10, 15,000 over top.
Right.
And they got a house.
Yeah. Well, they think they're saving on the interest rate, but then they have to go way over asking. They have to have the appraisal guarantee. You're like, where are you really saving any more money?
They're not.
All right, that music says we're up against our first break here. 9:11, if you're just joining us, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, 9:15 if you're just joining the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. You can call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's easy, 1-800-569-7283, powered by CMG Home Loans and MLS 1820 Equal Housing Lender. That's all the work we got to do for you. Okay, we're done.
I can remember the ML for when you're out next week, right?
Yeah, I am out next week. I might be going to Vegas, but no one knows that. We'll take your calls here, 248-539-9797. Again, we are all jazzed up here because we got great agents in. Debbie and, of course, Brittany come in from Real Estate One. You guys, are you at the same office? And you're in Dexter.
We're
the Brighton
Real
office.
Real Estate One.
You guys
Dexter,
can go anywhere.
But yeah, we'll close deals in Brighton, Ann Arbor.
Huge family of real estate. Of course, we know that you guys are part of Max Brook and all that, and there's a title company involved, and we know you guys are great people. So definitely get in touch with us here. We'll set you up with these great agents. Becky, we started talking about refinancing and getting into it. Before we go into debt consolidation and go back to the housing, I like what Brittany said. You buy a house today, you're getting in, you set your price. It's so key because a lot of our buyers now are first-time home buyers. They're coming in with 3 or 5% down, a lot of down payment assistance. There's an opportunity to get that equity. So next year when you do refinance, not only a lower rate back, but you can remove that mortgage insurance because you have more equity now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we do it. We never stop refinancing people, but like you don't get any equity when you're renting. When you're parking your car in someone else's driveway, that's what you're doing. You are parking your car in someone else's driveway. So if you can have an opportunity to get with a high level lender like ourselves or anyone really, whoever you're working with, but then if you're a first time buyer and you're struggling with that down payment, we have the programs to help you get there. So why would you continue to rent when you can find a home that's just the same as what you're paying in rent? Sometimes it's even cheaper. And rental,
you're paying someone else's mortgage.
Yes, you're paying someone else's mortgage. And so I find too that right now, someone getting in a rental, it's harder to get into a rental than it is your own home.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's tough to get into rentals.
Yes, and
the
then
prices
you get 5%
are just crazy.
appreciation.
Yeah.
And then you have that equity in the home. So but it starts with a conversation and then getting in alignment with people like yourselves, where you're just like, yes, you're done. We're divorcing rent. That's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're divorcing rent.
You're throwing your money away.
Mm-hmm.
We've had so many people call us over the years and talk about getting into, rentals. Now, a lot of them accumulated, 20 units, 50 units. Sometimes they buy apartment buildings. And then there's a lot of families out there that started, dip their toes in maybe 1 or 2 homes, and they've got a lot of equity, especially if they bought during the pandemic. So that opportunity is out there. And the reason why they get into trouble is when one of their tenants doesn't pay, because all of a sudden you think you're doing the right thing. You buy that rental home, usually you're 20% down on investment properties, and all of a sudden they miss 1 or 2 payments. That's why it's harder and harder to get into these, and making home ownership is just that much easier now, Beck. Your credit's good. There's more programs. Rents, they want 2 months up front of your rent. They want to do a background check. If you got something funky, it might even be easier to purchase a home.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do the background checks, but our background checks is different. But if you think about the 2 months plus a security deposit, that's your down payment money. And I feel like a lot of times first-time buyers, one of the biggest mistakes is that they don't even try because they assume they don't qualify. They just have that kind of mentality of, this is what I've always done, and this is how it's going to be. And they just don't even attempt to have that conversation of what they really can qualify for. And then once you get them in alignment with professionals, you're like, why are you looking at these rentals when you have a 700 credit score? Or you have a 600 credit score? You totally can be buying right now. And they're like, oh, I don't have the money. Well, if you have security deposit in 2 months rent, you got enough for a down payment, and then we can put you in one of these programs. So, what's cool about us is that there really isn't any program out there that we can't get into. Whether you're a first-time buyer or not a first-time buyer, there's money out here that you can actually get into that's going to help you, take that next level. And even if it's you're a step-down buyer, or maybe just life happened and you just, were a little bit thin on your funds, it shouldn't stop you from, getting yourself and your family in a position where you don't have to worry about getting that, that letter saying your rent's either going up or they want to sell the property because now the landlord wants to capitalize on the market.
Right.
And they're scrambling, trying to find something again.
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't know that there's a lot of options. They have to talk through it and figure it out, because there's always something that you guys can come up with that will work for them.
Yeah, we're like big on pivot so the deal doesn't perish, right? You're just like,
Of
no,
course.
what about this? And what about that? What about this?
We'll always figure definitely an option for you. Fannie Mae published a view of 100 housing experts. Did they call you back? Maybe they did. 100 housing experts. They said the September 2024 report just came out, and they expect home prices to rise at the end of the year. This number will come out 4.7% annually.
See, we said 5%. We said 5% this year.
That's everywhere too, because in certain areas, if you're talking a Brighton, if you're talking an Ann Arbor area, how about Ann Arbor, Dexter, any of those surrounding cities, you're probably looking at closer to 10% appreciation. Let's just go with that number. So $500,000 house next year, it's $550,000. a $400,000 next year. It's 440. Does that make sense to everyone out there? Because a $250,000 house, all of a sudden that following year is 275. It's 300,000
For doing nothing.
Yes, and
We're doing
just
nothing.
yeah,
That's
just
good.
making your payments on time. That's all you do is show up, make your payments on time, live your best life, and live in your own house.
And
Do nothing.
always definitely refinance it. You guys want to dive into that TV show? Did we talk about that? We didn't even go into it. So you do this TV show, The American Dream. I know Becky was involved in it a while ago. Some of the things, like, tell me how the cohesiveness works between like the television and real estate. Now, I watch the HGTV, the Josh Flaggs, and all these guys. They're not any better than any local real estate agents here. I can promise you that. So definitely, like, tell me how, like, where do you go? Like, what's your next project? If you're listing a house or if you're on the buy side, how does it work?
So we're still looking for the next for episode 3 that we're probably going to be filming in November.
Okay.
So we're looking for a new listing and a new business to feature. So we're able to feature one business and one listing, or one or the other, but we can only do 2 just because for time's sake, because it does take a while to put it together. So typically we'll talk to, we've had a lot of people reach out. So we'll but there's a lot of strategy with it. So we have to decide where we want to go. And obviously, depending on the time of year, what's going to do the best where. Then the TV show will give us a deadline for filming. And so we kind of put it together, and then they send out the camera crew to do it all.
It could be a new construction house. It could be a house that needs some love in. It could be anything, any home. So if you're thinking about selling your house in any of these surrounding Livingston, Washtenaw County, definitely give us a call, 248-539-9797. You could have your home featured on a TV show. These homes, basically what it is free advertising. The home gets sold real quickly. Tell me a little bit about staging. Are you guys investing your own money and helping some of these families out? Or are you just pointing out to them ways and things they need to do to get the home set up for, the highest and the best offer?
A little bit of both, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The sellers quite often are excited to bring a stager in, or we've have some really nice homes that, maybe their furniture doesn't live up to what the home is. And that home is going to bring more value if you've just got some extra pillows or a bed frame or,
Artwork or something,
Yeah, artwork.
Yeah, we've been working with a stager that we usually bring to some of our listings. But I feel like this last one, some people want to list it right away that we don't even have time to line all these things up. So we did have one that I feel like we personally staged. Like, they were out of town. We were in there moving all their furniture.
Yeah, they live out of the country.
Okay,
and they
so you had
haven't
some work
been
to do.
here. Yeah, they haven't been here since Christmas. And I think when they were here, they didn't realize that they would be coming back to the States, but not to their home. So they're out of the country, and they
we're
called
over there, lining up their landscaper, lining up their cleaning person, but we're also moving all their furniture, packing half their closets. Yeah.
We said to him, so is somebody going to come and put some of the stuff? Not that the house was bad, but
Get it ready for pictures.
there's kids' toys out and whatever. And they were like, well, no, does it look bad? And we're like, well, for photos. So what'd we do? We went out, we bought some boxes.
We need pillows.
we
We need
moved
more
all their
pillows.
dressers.
We packed all their stuff. We moved their furniture around, moved their artwork.
They looked at their pictures and they're like, "This looks like a totally different
Yeah.
house."
Well,
We're
sometimes,
we've
it's
been there
like-
for 2 days.
Like, less is more, and when you're trying to stage
For
it,
sure.
because it allows the people that can't see for themselves what it
Right.
looks like, right?
Right.
It's
And-
distracting in pictures too.
yeah.
Especially the kids' rooms. You got all the stuffed animals thrown all over on the bed. So really clear that all off, pack it all up. What I'm anal about is to make sure that all the comforters they don't have wrinkles in them. It's nothing worse than getting the photos back and
There's a wrinkle.
yeah.
That's it.
You
3
noticed
yesterday's
that.
on the market because of the wrinkle.
Yes.
But honestly, you can look at some of the photos that you see and it's like, wow,
Right.
what were they thinking?
Or then you go in the house, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
these were really
Now
good
you know.
photos. Now I got
Yes.
bamboozled.
You guys, it's a tough conversation. So all the great agents we have on here, they're like, Harvey, just clean the house, like declutter a house and have it cleaned, and then paint. And paint goes a long way too. But I was at a stinker last week, and I can't say where I was. It was priced too much. And I asked the agent, I said, why is this price so high? And again, around the block and around the other block, one had a basement. So ours is on a slab. One was really clean and you can just move into it. And this one wasn't. And then it had an infestation problem. I'm like, how do we have a house on the market with like 500 stink bugs outside attached to the garage. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So, I mean, it takes a lot, I think, of courage. I'm going to say courage. To be an agent, a listing agent, you want to get that listing. That's how you guys make money. Your name's on the listing. One day when it sells, you're going to get paid on it. You're coming out of pocket. You're spending money. You're fixing up the front door and everything. It takes courage to tell a seller, look, we got some issues here. We gotta clean up this house. You got to be honest with them.
Mm-hmm. And we don't want our name on something that we know is going to sit forever because the buyer or the seller wants to list it for an astronomical price and then have it not look right. Which, I mean, we had to do in this last one. I had to tell them, you have to have a landscaping person come out here. Like, I don't even want to take pictures until, because they've been gone. So it's been kind of neglected. Mm-hmm. So I had to tell them, I'm like, it's a big project. But they listened.
Yeah. And sometimes you do have to be honest. You know, you have to be honest with people. And you just say, I don't mean to offend you at all, but I know that's grandma's furniture over there, that it means a lot to you, but
it could be grandma in the urn up there. I mean, it might be grandma.
But it's true though. I mean, when you can eloquently tell someone what they need to hear instead of what they want to hear, because I feel like there's too much of that going on where people are like, you know, someone's going to make enough calls so eventually someone tells them what they want to hear, but that's not really what's going to get it done. And then they end up having the house sit for too long and they're not getting the top, dollar.
I think they appreciate the honesty. You know, okay, that they're listening to what we're telling them to do.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And, and then when you're selling, right, so it's like they have that, and it is a seller's market, right? On paper, it's a seller's market for sure, but it's not that seller's market where you can just dictate this ridiculous price, because there is, the buyer pools, kind of change. They're more educated. They are savvy. They're starting to say no. They're seeing more concessions, on these transactions, and they're not just desperate for houses. They are coming in where they know they have their wants too, and they want their boxes checked as much as the sellers.
All right, we're up against our second break of the day. We got tons of sports joining. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Pat Caputo, Mark Ryan, follow us. It's 926 248 539 9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Yeah, we're having a great time this morning because the vibe is, Becky, how do you have a New York Yankees hat on?
I mean, I have these really sweet Jays on, and I needed to wear my red hat with my Jays, and that's the answer.
All right, well, it's definitely matching anyways. We're pumped up for the Tiger
She can wear it today,
game.
right?
Yeah, she can wear any
today.
baseball, any
Yeah, I'll be
baseball.
switching to my Tiger stuff later.
Okay, we got you. 248-539-9797. We'll take your calls all morning long. Brittany Racine and Debbie Bourdon, if I got that right, Deb. Real Estate One, and you guys handle all Southeast Michigan. Primarily, though, we'll go Washtenaw, Livingston County, because that's your backyard. That's where you guys know what's going on. And Brittany, I saw you're on the football field. You got a couple young boys playing football.
Yep.
I love the local football scene again. I'm into high school sports. I became an official this year, and it's just fun. And it really has to do with housing because I love the sense of community. That's been like the most joy for me. I love the national anthem at the beginning of the game, but I love when I look up and the stands are packed. And not only are the parents there, the grandparents, but a lot of the local people. I mean, we're becoming like a Texas. That's what they do down south. They go to their high school football games. They walk in their cities. They go to the ice cream store down at the end of the street. I love sense of community back. It's really what makes it all fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you have, especially like when, we're out that you have kids of your own. So it's like you're kind of reliving those moments and get to see it through their eyes. And and it's cool. And then, but it's not even like some people go, like my dad will go to watch high school football games just because he likes it. He likes the energy. He's like, I don't even know who's playing, but he'll go to his old high school and just watch them play because he loves it. And it's like a good time.
We still go to the Dexter high school football games. My son played in Dexter, and it's exciting as a parent when they're juniors and seniors. You get to the game early, you get your blankets spread out all over.
I do that for third grade. What do you mean?
You're just starting, so you're going to be doing this for a long time. Maybe even in college you'll be doing it. You'll be on the road.
It's so fun.
Yeah, my son played in college also, so yeah.
Oh, good.
Especially when you're friends with everybody
Saginaw Valley,
too.
but he played football, and the Britt was on the dance team, so it was
Saginaw Valley
a blast.
Girls? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. My buddy's kid goes up there now. Okay, good. We won't drop any names on that. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about mortgages and real estate, Becky, because again, although the rates didn't come down, they were eventually going to come down. So I want to throw in there as debt consolidation because we're always running these numbers for folks. This isn't something new. We have the three different options in the refinance world. You got rate and term refinance, Becky. That's just lowering your payment, maybe removing the mortgage insurance, but debt consolidation is key. You can really get yourself above the clouds. Get rid of all that high interest that you've been paying on those credit cards.
Yeah, it's a conversation we're always having. I have several going on right now where it's either rate and term, we're getting rid of PMI, and they just bought their houses like February of this earlier this year, and we're already looking at it where we can get them in a position, get rid of the PMI, switch them from FHA to conventional because their credit score went up, and we did the math, and it makes sense for them to do that. But it takes a high level conversation because you also have to be able to talk to someone that says no. This isn't a good time for you. Doesn't make sense. Let's sit in this current loan a little bit longer. Let's see what's going on because there is no benefit. But if you can clearly see that there is a tangible net benefit, because we as a lender, we have to prove that. We can't just go willy-nilly and just, refinance someone. You have to show that there's, something there. But even if there is savings, whatever it looks like, you're also in the driver's seat. I kind of say that like I'm the backseat driver that talks a lot, right? I'm going to tell you like you should probably turn left instead of right. But if you want to turn left, then we're going to just be bumpy down the road all you want. But, but it's ultimately the consumer's decision. My job is to give you the options, present them, and then you're the ones that decide what you're going to do and not going to do. But I have no problem telling people no because there's like you're saying, like when you can speak to someone and you have their best interests at heart, that speaks true because I'm not here to sell anybody. I'm here to help them. And whether that's now or 5 years from now, it comes back tenfold because when you're honest and you're authentic, people can feel that. You can't fake that.
Right. You're not going to have the clientele that you have if you're not being honest with them.
No. Yes, absolutely.
You're telling them to make the wrong decision for sure.
Well, then they get upset. And then you're like, oh, well, you told me this and that. So you have to be very careful what you say as well. But you also have to be honest and forthright and that's why our clients do come back. So that's why I did their house. Now I'm doing their kid's house or grandma's moving. And then I can give the listing, right? That's the reason why we are 100% referral because we're boots on the ground. We do this every day. So when we are hearing us speak on this stuff, it's because I literally just did a pre-approval in the car before I walked in here. And now I'm here speaking about it. Like we do this every day. This isn't just like for fake. We're doing this.
As we talk about refinancing of a home too, it's really just like if you were selling your property, you definitely want to put your best house forward. So definitely clean it up, declutter it, get it painted. If we're sending an appraiser out there, and they don't always require, not every refinance requires an appraisal. So if we are sending an appraiser to your house, generally on cash out refinancing, we're trying to get this higher value. It's so important that you have that house really looking good. It starts at the front door. And cleaning up the landscape. We've got plenty of nice days and, again, cooler days ahead of us, but great opportunity to have the grass cut, put those mums in, decorate a little bit with the pumpkins, paint that front door, paint the trim. I know I got to paint mine at home also. So there's always this upkeep, but little things you can do. So when the appraiser shows up to the home, just like when you guys show up to list a house, you're already looking, as soon as you drive up, you're already really on the way there. You're already saying, hey, what's this neighborhood like?
Trim the bushes or,
Like
sweep off the front porch or, just some pretty flowers.
Well, the truth too is that when you're living in your own home, sometimes you look past things that
Right.
you know,
You
like
don't
that
see
someone
it.
else doesn't, and you have to kind of look at it through someone else's eyes or another lens to be like, oh, maybe I should get a couple more pillows, or maybe I missed that tumbleweed of dog hair in the corner like too many times because I've been busy with my children. I barely have time for my own life. So here you want me to try to clean my house, right? But that's why you hire the professionals to help you do those things. And then if you don't have the time, you, like you said, you go in there and you do it yourself. There's few high level agents that are willing to do stuff like that.
Right. But I think it's worth it to take those extra steps before you list than to just clean it really quick and take the pictures. Like if there's a couple other things that we can suggest, we will, just to make sure that it looks the best that it can.
Refacing cabinets. We know that that's like not an outrageous amount of money to really change the look of the kitchen. Redoing the countertops. Now you're spending a little bit more money, but you can still do some less expensive options on it. Again, if it's a really nasty old Formica, probably going to want to pull that out there. Some dirty tile. We used to see some tile countertops and things of that nature. Then flooring and the paint. So you guys, you're willing to tell the seller, look, if you wanted to sell for what your neighbor got, let's look at those pictures. I mean, they're right here online, folks. You can go down and see your neighbor's house. You can knock on their door and say, I'm thinking about selling my house. I don't have a basement. You did. So there's all these different options out there. You got to have these tough conversations.
Right. And I think one of the things I do is come into it as a buyer. Because, I mean, we hear what the buyers say about houses when we go tour them with them anyways. Right. So it's like you go into a listing, you have to look at it from the buyer's standpoint. What are they not going to like about it? Can we do something to make it not so obvious or kind of, cover it up a little bit or highlight something else where that they can take on whatever this little project is because something else is so great.
Well, I think too, to that point, like even when you do that private home inspection, right? Not everything is a deal breaker. When you're looking at stuff like, okay, some paint and this is a brand new house, right? Let's take the purple walls and make them like a grayish or whatever, or white right now with the blonde floors. Like those little things, matter. And floors kind of really aren't that expensive depending on how big the area is, right? But it's, doing a whole kitchen. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to redo my kitchen. No, don't do that. Like, or talk to the professional if it really matters. Just little tweaks make it a difference. Like, even like we have our, appraiser, like Mike Tomchek comes on and he was like, there is value in just the aesthetics of fresh paint and cleanliness.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it looks more clean when you have fresh paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we're good with, too, working with buyers in that, they'll come in and they want everything all fresh and new, but their budget doesn't really allow for that.
Oh, yeah.
So you just have to be open-minded and try to explain, just vision this with new paint or, that orange wall with a nice off-white or something.
What I get a lot on our side is, like they want to sell and they're like, oh, well, what I'm getting for my money, for what, it's just not the same. I'm like, well, that's because you waited. And that's going to continue to be the narrative if you continue to wait, because we are in an appreciating market. Even at bare minimum, you see 3 to 5. We said early in the year, we're going to see 5%. And that's what's cool about the radio show. You can run back the receipts and you can hear the stuff we talk about. And it's going to continue to be like that. So if you're upset about what you're seeing now, it's going to be worse next year or in 6 months because we are an appreciating market. So the home values are going to continue to go up. And the longer you wait, the longer you are missing out on that equity that you could be building for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, but you'll have those sellers who will be like, but I don't want to paint it because what if the next buyer wants a different color? Or I don't want to put in new carpet because maybe they're going to do something else. You know what? It doesn't matter. Just put something in that's going to be attractive. And if they want to redo it, they can. It might be a little extra money that they spent, but it's going to pay out in the end.
Well, what about in a situation like that where, to that point, then you go into it and say, okay, well, then we're going to offer a concession for that. Just you get the feedback and say, okay, we didn't want to do that, but then do you guys kind of have that conversation too?
I've had people suggest it. And what I find is a lot of buyers, if they're looking at the listing and it says seller offering a $5,000 concession for flooring, I think people are turned off right away.
They know the flooring's bad.
Must be, it's, yeah.
Okay.
Or they're desperate
Carpet
to
must
sell
be
it, so it's got to
bad.
be beat up.
Yeah.
So you
It's
might get to that
busted.
point after the home's on the market for a couple of weeks, and you're starting to get the feedback now, and you knew it, and now you can share the feedback, and now you can suggest for the next offer, look, if it comes in close to full price and they're asking for some concessions, let's definitely go that route.
Yeah.
You're setting up your plan, and the plan can change. It can change real quickly. How about this little thing, too? So many of our buyers are calling me saying, Harvey, I want to sell. But I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to find a house. So we've been promoting here on the show, so I'll go with it. Sell your house. It's a reverse contingency. Sell your house contingent upon you buying a new one. And we just love that idea because now the seller knows they got their house sold. The people that are buying it might already have to rent for another 3 months anyway. So they're okay if they need to wait another 30 days. When we come back, the music tells me we got to go to a break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the seller contingency. And if you've got a dump on the market, you've got to clean that house up. And we've got some other suggestions for you. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Welcome back. The vibe is heating up. 9:45. Tiger baseball coming up at 1:08.
Go Tigers.
Yeah.
Going to be insane. Of course, Lions tomorrow.
Lions
There's a lot
tomorrow,
of
yeah.
college football out there. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Mark Ryan, Pat Caputo join us right at 10 o'clock. So keep it here. They're going to dive in with all your sports all day long here. We give you a little bit more of the Mortgage Real Estate Show. I'm Harvey Freed. She's Becky Alley. Debbie Bourdon and Brittany Racine join us from Real Estate One in Washtenaw, Livingston County. They do all Southeast Michigan, including anywhere in Michigan. Traverse City, you guys had that great listing out there. And if you have a house that you're thinking about wanting to sell, give us a call on the show. We have open lines.
We could get you featured on their TV
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
There you
We're
go.
looking for the next one.
All right, looking for a great listing. Not only that, like something to do with, tell me how that all works with the business, how that all sort of works together.
So we like to feature a business that's close to wherever the listing is.
Oh, okay.
Kind of
It's
just
really the lifestyle.
Yeah,
They want to
the
see the lifestyle of the state of Michigan. So we can be anywhere in Michigan, and we'll pick out a fun business and feature that, and it might entail tasting some drinks or eating some food or working out. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
We can interview them and tour their location.
And I love that because sometimes if you're doing what that local business is, right, it's, it's supporting the community, right? That's what we're talking about. We are a community. We are who we surround ourselves with. We are like the sum of all the top 5 people that are around you all the time. So it goes where you're living. And sometimes you don't know what your neighbor's going to be like until you already drove the car off the lot. Now you're looking at your neighbor and you're like, crap, I got a dud neighbor. So it's like it's important to know what you're stepping into and
Right.
do your research, and don't be desperate when you're buying a house. You're taking your time, you're going into it educated. And then with you guys stepping in and be like, look at this beautiful community, look at this, this local business that you can get XYZ at. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool.
It's been a lot of fun.
Right.
And just even thinking about what we've
And the
got
people you
all
get to
these
meet because of
ideas.
it, yeah. The people you meet because of it,
Yeah.
it's so cool. And
Yeah,
then,
and there's so many cool communities around.
Right. It could be Dexter, Chelsea,
Yeah.
I'll name them all: Superior Township, Ypsilanti, Fenton, Howell.
Yeah.
What's a
Ann
little bit-
Arbor.
Ann Arbor for sure. What's a little bit west of South Lyon area? What do you got? Fowlerville out there? What's the
Howell?
next? Howell? Okay,
Yeah,
what about a little
Brighton,
bit more
Howell.
west down 696?
Brighton,
Williamston?
Howell, down 96, Fowlerville.
Okay. Are they up and coming? I mean,
Owasso.
I've over the years always had clients in Fowlerville. I just wonder. I want to reach. You know what? You just gave me a great idea. I'm going to reach out to my clients in Fowlerville and I'm going to say, from 10 or 15 years and go. So you're sitting on a gold mine out there. You bought the house for $250 on 5 acres. Now you're going to split the parcels. I mean, there's probably a lot of that.
we're going to
building
feature one of those
starting
like random beef jerky spots.
Well, and it's more
Best
affordable.
jerky in town.
It's more affordable. Livingston County in general is more affordable than Washtenaw or
Right.
even Oakland, certainly. I mean, you can get more bang for your buck there.
Yeah, and even on like the south side, like it's Wayne County versus Monroe County, like the taxes are night and day, but you don't know that. People don't know what they don't know. They just want to buy the house. And the fact that you guys are very aware, like, okay, if you go just over here just a little bit, school of choice, you're going to get a better price on this, but then you still get the same school district over here that you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Open lines here, 248-539-9797. If you want to sneak in, again, you can always find us at Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW RATE, the best mortgage banker. Yes, you can refinance your house. You can do debt consolidation. Some folks might hang on to their first mortgage and just get a home equity loan for now. But even though those home equity loans are really creeping up there, 8.5 or higher, usually an introductory rate. So that's a higher interest rate. Becky, we talk about the combined interest rate and what you're ultimately paying. Sometimes a family might get a home equity loan now and then realize when the next rates do drop, when the Fed funds finally kick in and really start dropping 4, 5, or 6 times, and it's going to eventually bring this interest rate market down for the first mortgage.
Again, it's about high level conversations. And, there was a lot where people are like romanticize, I have a 3% interest rate and I don't want to give it up, right? Well, then they were like, do you do home equity lines of credit? We do those. However, you're paying a 9%, a 10% rate. And when you do the math, sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that. You're sometimes better off to forego your 3%, blend everything, have your one loan, and that might make the more sense. But if, I have out of state clients, they're in California and they are building their real estate portfolio. So in that case, doing a home equity line of credit on their California property made sense. So now they have the cash flow to make offers. They're using their home to build their real estate portfolio. So these are high level conversations that we can help you attain your 5 rental properties in a year if you really want to, but you have to be very strategic. And it's a matter of, do you do the cash out refinance? Do you do the debt consolidation in one loan? Do you do the home equity line of credit? But you don't know until you're looking at all the options. But depending on what your goals are, we can help you attain that pathway, but you have to have the conversations.
All the different choices out there. We extend our
It'd make your head explode if we're like talk about it all the time. Like my brain's exploding.
And it's fun stuff though. Don't worry about it. You won't explode. Our prayers do go out to our families out there and all across the United States here. So, obviously the 2 hurricanes that came by, Helene first, and then this Milton thing. And of course, our family has a place down in Sarasota. We avoided really a catastrophe. I think the place is actually no problems at all, but anyone close to the water, I mean, they got wiped out pretty good. And now, so you're thinking about buying down there, and the opportunity is going to present itself. So consider, do you want to be right on the shoreline? Do you want to be on the Gulf of Mexico? More and more hurricanes seem to be hitting there, and it's really driven up the cost of the association fees, the homeowners insurance. You've got to figure it all out ahead of time, because it's real estate down there. It's always going to go up in value. Everyone wanted to buy in the pandemic down in Florida. Now you got to sort of second guess it a little bit and decide, where do you want to be? Again, whether it be South Carolina, Texas, wherever you want to go.
Traverse City.
Traverse City
No
sounds
hurricanes.
good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
Deb, you and I will
obviously-
be in Scottsdale, but that's another thing. Deb
Like,
and I
we're
will
a
be-
national lender, so we know like what's going on all over the place, right? And there is a direct connection from Michigan to Florida. Obviously, we all know that, but Michigan has it all. You have, the lakes, you have, we might get a tornado or two, but we're very fortunate to not have these catastrophic things, because you do not mess with Mother Nature at all. And it's very unfortunate and sad. And, obviously the coverage of watching the news and then the tornadoes on top of all that, it is apocalyptic what was happening in Florida for such a long period of time. And, I have friends and family that live down there, and their houses
Can't get
are
away.
complete
Yep.
loss, like right in Sarasota.
My niece
loss.
is down in St.
Totaled.
Pete.
Yeah, it's very sad, scary.
Her home was gutted from Helene.
Oh,
and,
boy.
And then all the trash was sitting out in front of the yard.
That floated
and
away.
Then, yep.
And it's a complete mess down there. So where we're going with this is, so maybe rethink it. How about buying a nicer house here? Maybe you
Something
just
on the
wanna
lakes.
upgrade.
We've
Yeah.
got so many lakes.
The opportunities are right here in Michigan. And again, maybe instead of spending your money and doing all that, you buy a nicer house here, and you can still vacation in these places. You can take off for 3 or 4 weeks. You can, more and more families down there are Airbnb these and renting them out. So there's definitely opportunities. Decide what you want to do. Things are always changing. And now we got this whole weather thing that's really been, I think we're just going to constantly be seeing it. Warmer oceans out there. And these hurricanes have been a little bit more over the
Intense.
last 10 years. They're definitely intense. And just the cost to repair everything. And it costs you a lot of money. Hey, we got a call up there, Paul. Can we go with it? All right, let's go. Hey, Kyle, you're live on 97.1 The Ticket. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Quick question. Obviously, the rates on the HELOCs are high and getting higher. My question was, can you roll that over into a locked-in mortgage? Our rate's at 2.8. Can you roll that over into it or no?
No, I wish you could. That would definitely be key. And, that's how, that's how we make our money, by flipping these mortgages sometimes for the better of the clientele. And it's key. At that point, we'd probably tell you just to hang on to the home equity loan. Work on paying, instead of paying down your mortgage at 2.8%, really just focus, if you can send an extra $100, $200, getting rid of that high interest rate on that home equity loan. And then maybe there's an opportunity to combine the two down the road.
Yeah, that's going to be your best options, because obviously they're adjustable. The rate is moving, it's attached to prime and all the fun things. But, if you have, that's a great interest rate. Obviously, you capitalize on that moment. It was almost like free money during that time. But yeah, there eventually, I would say, let your primary mortgage do its thing. Focus on that home equity line of credit. And if there's an opportunity to combine the two, if you really needed to, you could do that. But that's going to be your best bet for sure.
Hey, Kyle, that home equity loan, how big is the balance right now?
I think 40.
Yeah, it's not outrageous.
What's the rate
enough.
on that?
The last I checked, I think it was like 8.5 or 8. It just keeps going up.
Oh, yes. And it's going to continue. So, and that's where, like when we're looking at these things, I kind of hinder away from HELOC sometimes because of that, because it's something you can't control.
It's nice to use.
You can
though.
maybe refinance that
Yeah.
second. You can do that. That is something that we can maybe look at for you, like where we can maybe, convert something like that. But it's going to be, you're going to have to leave that first second. You're going to have to subordinate it. It's going to be a thing. So I have to talk to you about it.
Hey, Kyle, just one last quick question for you. Did you use the money to fix up the house or do debt consolidation? What did you do the home equity loan for?
We did some improvements on finishing the basement.
Fantastic. I
All right,
love
well,
it. Definitely
money well
increasing the
spent.
living space of the house. That's well money spent, especially if you're a growing family. Thanks for the call, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We are seeing more and more that a lot of families out there, yes, if you get a house that has a basement, it does not count as square footage. Let's go there. If 1% of your basement if it's a walkout basement, if it's daylight windows, it does not count as square footage. It's called living space, though, Becky. It's definitely living space. So if you go down there, you're going to be able to set up your she sheds, your man caves, whatever you want to
But I
call
have
them
an
down there.
egress window. Doesn't it count if I have an egress
It
window?
does not, but the city will allow you to build and finish that basement if you put an egress window in there. Again, folks, these are really important things to know because if you're clicking buttons on Zillow, and I see so many families, I just looked at one actually. I said, I had to tell my client, I'm like, this isn't 3,200 square feet. It's it's a 1,600 square foot condominium with a finished walkout
I
basement.
think Zillow combines those.
They
though.
combine them. I mean, that's a big lie. And they
Right.
write it
That's
under
not our
square
fault,
footage.
though.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not dogging you
But
guys.
what about if it's
Zillow
on the
I hate,
MLS,
but it's
though?
another thing.
That
If
is
it's on the MLS, they make us split it up where it's above grade and below grade
Okay.
square footage that's finished, and then Zillow combines it.
Yeah.
But it can be misleading. People don't understand
sure.
that.
It's 1,000,000% misleading. Are you telling me that's the end of our show? I'm just getting into it here, Paul. All right. Paul says we got to go. We see Pat Caputo outside. Ladies, you guys are awesome. We're going to have you back for sure. Check them out. Debbie Bourdon and Brittany Racine, Real Estate One. They're out there in Washington, Livingston County, and all around Southeast Michigan. Becky, you got any last thoughts here?
Listen, go Tigers. They're going all the way, and Lions in the Super Bowl. Boom.
All right, we'll have you ladies back for sure. And check them out. They're on this American Dream show. Call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. We'll get you set up with all the great agents we have here on this show. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.